Hi everyone, Miss Saunders here, and today I'm going to talk to you about I'll start by saying this week you're going to be filling out a peer worksheet, right? So you're going to be reading a rough draft of your peer's issue analysis essay, and you are going to be answering questions about the essay. And this lecture is to kind of explain what the purpose of this exercise is, what you might get out of it, as well as how you might respond to the feedback you receive on your own writing. So, this is an exercise that I've created having taken years of creative writing workshops where I think the kind of center of my development as a writer was really located in reading others' works, um, becoming inspired by it, finding flaws in it, and ultimately honing my ability to read critically and using that to slowly improve my writing over time. So the purpose of a peer editing worksheet that you'll be completing is it's a wonderful way to distance yourself from the essay form, the sentence form, from the distance yourself from the act of writing, and look at someone else's work from a different perspective. I think particularly early on in our writing careers, we are so caught up in the mental process of producing that we do not think of our work in terms of how it might be viewed from the outside. And I think looking at someone else's work can really help us think about our own work in a new light. While we're still in the process of producing something, right? You guys are going to be completing this peer worksheet while you're in the process of redrafting your essays. And I think another thing that's great about this peer editing exercise is that it builds on the skill of critical reading. So you can implement, these critical reading skills as you read your peers' work and respond to that, and then hopefully apply some of these same philosophy to your own work, or perhaps, return to your own work with a new frame of mind based on your experience with someone else's text. So what are the benefits of reading someone else's work, especially a rough draft of a peer? You can recognize mistakes that they've made, and I'll bet you might find one that you have also been guilty of making as well. You can reflect on your own formal choices by looking at the choices that someone else has made in their writing and viewing them from the outside. You might come to understand your own choices as a writer in a new way. I think it can give you a lot of insight as to how to revise your own draft, and a lot of times it helps to clarify the expectations of the assignment. And you can make sure that by assessing whether or not someone has fulfilled the basic requirements of their assignment, you can then think about whether or not you feel that you yourself have fulfilled those same requirements. And then, it's not only critical, you can also find like inspiration in someone else's ideas and formal choices and structure of the sentence and structure of the essay. So there are a lot of different takeaways from this exercise. So writing is, essentially all about choices, and that's kind of what makes it hard is you have to pay attention and you have to make choices. How do I want the sentence to look? How do I want this paragraph to look? How do I want this whole essay to look? And these little choices ultimately make or break what eventually ends up on the page. I think a lot of the times with young writers, you're not as exposed or you're not as aware of the choices that you're making. You're just kind of doing them. You're just kind of doing things and not completely understanding why. So in the process, you get insight as to the choices that your peers are making. I think an important thing in terms of receiving feedback, right, receiving critique from others, I would say probably the most useful benefit you will get out of this exercise is learning how to be a critical reader of someone else's work. Insofar as the feedback that you get from whoever responds to your piece, your partner, I would take that with a grain of salt. I would not necessarily follow every piece of advice they give you wholesale. I would incorporate that feedback, take some time with it, and then also realize that some of it might very well be a projection of their own stylistic interests or their own ideas about structure that might be different from your own. So I don't want you to, receive these answers that someone has filled out about your rough draft and think that you have to follow every piece of advice that's given. I would kind of take the criticisms, just take them with a grain of salt and see if you during reflection, really believe that you should follow them. Because I think an important thing to remember is everyone is a beginner in this class. So just something to keep in mind. So how do you complete your peer worksheet for full credit? You want to fill out the worksheet electronically, so answer the questions electronically in full sentences. And I'm very specific about what I'm asking for, but if you have any questions about what the requirements are, don't hesitate to reach out. And then I want you to email me the completed version. And in your responses, I really want you to try to be concrete, be specific. What does this mean? In your peer worksheet, you should be responding with specific quotations from their papers. And that's just a general advice on being a better writer, is being concrete, being specific. This is also true about using specific quotations in your essays to back up the claims that you make. It's not helpful for you or for the peer whom you're responding to if you just make vague generalizations. So, all right, I hope this helps you guys understand really the purpose of the assignment and what I hope that you will get out of it. And please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions.